Hey guys, welcome back. This is History of Power Rangers, Season 1, Episode 39 of my show, but this is about Episode 42. Now, before I start talking about it, I just want to mention, this is the second Power Ranger video for 2018. I just wanted to mention that, and since we're on episode 42, I just want to mention as well, there's one other thing. Let me just hold on a second, guys. Let's see, 42, 43, 44, 45, 47. We got a couple more videos to go until we get to the last two-part episode for this first season. I just wanted to mention that before I actually started talking. So we got a couple more videos left until then. I wanted to give you guys a heads up about that. And then, as I've stated before multiple times, the next two-part episode I'm going to be doing, which is the Return of an Old Friend two-part episode, is technically, it's the last two-part episode of this first season, and then every single episode after that is one episode. It's not like a multi-part episode and stuff. I wanted to get that out of the way one last time since we're kind of close to it. Anyway, I just wanted to mention that ahead of time. I figured since we were in the middle of the 40 segment, I figured might as well, since we're kind of close to the last two-part episode for this first season. Anyway, enough getting off topic. This is actually, now I'm going to start talking about the actual episode. This is History of Power Rangers, Season 1, Episode 39 of my show, but this is about Episode 42. And Episode 42 in the original Power Rangers series is known as a Pig Surprise. Now, as the name of this episode actually states, this is going to sound kind of funny, but in this episode, the Rangers face a monster that they've already beaten previously in this series. In this case, it's called the Pig Surprise. The monster that they faced again, that they faced earlier on in this season, is the Pudgy Pig monster. Oh my god. So this is, because if you guys remember, I believe I stated this in one of my earlier videos for this series, this first season anyway. This would be one of two monsters that the Rangers would fight. The Hatchosaurus would be one of two monsters that the Rangers would fight again. And like I said, there was a couple of episodes in Power Rangers that featured certain monsters from previous seasons and certain monsters from this season and from next season and stuff. So I just thought I'd get that out of the way. And now, continuing on with what I was mentioning before I got off topic there. I'm sorry, I kind of got off topic. But continuing on with it, what basically the Rangers are with their school, they're having adopt a pet fair basically. So like it's sort of like a pet adoption fair kind of thing, and they're looking to give animals that don't have any homes a home basically. So, and then what happens basically after that is, after the Rangers are selling some of the pets for the Adopt a Pet Fair, basically, this woman shows up and she's walking this pig. Now the funny thing about that is the woman is actually going to be a putty. I just thought I'd mention that. Oh, and now that I mentioned about the putties, again, I just want to mention this. Remember when I said in previously the Rangers would fight the putties twice? What I meant basically, I believe I stated this in one of my previous videos. The minions that the Rangers would fight were going to be putties for the first 2 seasons, and then it'll be changed up every season after that. Well, technically, in this case, for the 2nd season, I'm just mentioning this ahead of time since we're kind of very close to the end of this season. So I figured might as well mention this. They will be battling the putties again in Season 2 as foot soldiers for the next big bad, but there will be like a different version of the putties. I won't explain more about that. I'll explain more about that later when I get into next season. I just thought I'd give you guys a little bit of a heads up about that. I'll explain more about that later when I get into next season. I wanted to get that out of the way ahead of time now, since we're kind of getting close to the end of this season set for videos. I thought it was relevant in this case. Anyway, after that, basically what happens is the woman is asking the Rangers in their human forms if they can find a home for her pet pig Norman, and then she starts crying a little, and she said that basically won't they help her, and then basically one of the Rangers said that basically, of course they will, and I believe Jason said that they'll make sure that, I think it's Trini that said that of course they will, and then Jason said that basically they'll make sure to find Norman a good home, and then it goes to where Zach is, and he's on his way to the Adopt-A-Pet event in the park. And then basically what happens is while he's on the way there, he sees the old woman that the other Ranger saw, who, as I stated before, was a putty in disguise. And then encounters the putties a little bit himself, and then after dealing with the putties a little bit, he manages to catch up with the others at the Adopt-A-Pet fair. And then basically it goes over to where Rita is on her palace on the moon, and she's explaining to Goldar and the others what her plan is this time. It's basically to bring back the Pudgy Pig monster, as I stated, that the Rangers had already technically defeated. Now, only in this case, it's under a different circumstance. Now, what I mean by a different circumstance is the Pudgy Pig monster is only brought back in this episode, through a little bit of magic, basically, because of that. And then then Bulk and Skull, I just wanted to mention that about the Pudgy Pig again because of the fact that it's going to be brought back because of the incantation. Anyway, basically what happens after that is Bulk and Skull show up, and then, well, I'm going to backtrack here because I missed it a little. after the woman who was disguised as the putty left, Bulk and Skull had showed up, and they managed to... Actually, I don't think I'm gonna backtrack, because it's actually not that far behind what I mentioned before. So anyway, Bulk and Skull show up at the Adopt a Pet fair, and they adopt Norman the pig, and then basically after that, now I'm gonna get into with where Zach was when he was fighting the putties. Basically, he encounters the putties after he sees the old woman who dropped the pig off, and while he's fighting the putties, basically what happens is he notices that one of the putties he was fighting had a device, so he goes over to the others after that, and then basically then it goes into where Bulk and Skull are in a youth center. Well, actually, I'm not gonna say in the youth center, because then basically what happens after that is Zach goes to where Billy and the others are, and then basically that actually ends the Adopt a Pet fair scene, the fight between the putties and Zach's character. Now, anyway, basically what happens is Bulk and Skull are walking Norman in the school, and then basically Skull is reading a book that said that some animals are kind of smarter than humans, and then basically what happens is because that's what he read in the book, and then he tells then he tells Norman to do some tricks, but then he stays where he is, and then he makes a sarcastic little joke for a trick where he could stay right there, and Norman, he says he's a good pig. And then after that, Zach shows Billy the device, so Billy then takes the device to his lab with Trini to analyze it, and then he finds out that the device is like a timer because it's counting down. Now that device that Zach found was actually, it is a timer device, but it's a timer that once the timer is done counting down, the Norman pig will transform into the Pudgy Pig monster again. Now what I mean by, I say it again because the Rangers technically, they already fought the Pudgy Pig once before, so that's what I mean by when I say again. Anyway, after he takes the device to his lab to analyze it, and after the device is done counting down, the Norman pig that Bulk and Skull had got at the pet fair turns into the Pudgy Pig monster. Well, after it had finished counting down, basically, Trini tells Zach that didn't he say that he saw a putty that was disguised as an old woman, and Zach says that she's right. He says, yeah, he did, and that it was kind of weird. And then basically what happens is, then they go to where the Pudgy Pig monster is after that. And then, because the timer had just finished counting down, so the Pudgy Pig had fully transformed from Norman to his form. And this is the funniest part, when the Pudgy Pig monster was transforming, it was in the youth center, and Bulk was about to have this giant sub to eat. And then after the pig monster transformed, he told the pig monster that doesn't he know Skull and Emma, they're his parents, basically, which is kind of true, because before he turned into the Pudgy Pig, he was Norman, and they kind of adopted him. So it's an adoptive pet kind of thing. I'm sorry, I just want to get a little bit of technical information there with the episode out of the way. Anyway, continuing on, after that, Zach shows up in the youth center, and he tells Bulk to give the Pudgy Pig monster his sub. But Bulk tells him that he doesn't want to give him his sub because he hasn't had lunch. He hasn't eaten since lunch, and then basically Zach tells Bulk to give him the sub or he's gonna be lunch, basically. And then basically what happens is he gives him a little piece of the sub, and then after that, Zach tells him to give him a little bit more. Like, give him all of it, basically, and he eats it all, and then the Pudgy Pig manages to escape. And then the Rangers teleport to the command center. And then Zordon informs them that it seems that once again they have to deal with Rita's Pudgy Pig monster. But I think it might be Trini this time. She says that they can't destroy the Pudgy Pig monster because it's an ordinary animal this time. And then Kimberly makes a little bit of a, not a sarcastic kind of remark, but she informs Zordon that the pig's name is Norman. And then Zordon explained that the Rangers have to be careful now because if the Pudgy Pig monster was transformed from an ordinary pig to its form, they gotta make sure not to hurt it, which kind of makes sense. And then basically the Rangers start fighting the Pudgy Pig again. And now what I mean by again is because this is the second time they will face the Pudgy Pig monster in this first season. The first time was back in episode 6, so this is the second time this has occurred. So that's basically what I meant by second time. And then basically, so a lot of the battle scenes in this episode I'm talking about, I'm pretty sure are they might be recycled from the previous time they fought the Pudgy Pig, like the scene where it was on the roof of the building and stuff like that. And then basically after that what happens is after they battle the Pudgy Pig a little, it manages to escape, and they try to look for it, and then they see then they manage to find the Pudgy Pig monster in a pig pen, and he tries to to a female pig. But while they're looking for him, Rita then makes Goldar grow, and then Zordon informs the Rangers, he contacts them on their communicators to tell them that the Pudgy Pig was a distraction. Goldar is trashing the city, so basically what happens is they go to fight Goldar for now. Goldar and Scorpina, I believe, for now. And then after they fight Goldar and Scorpina a little bit, Goldar and Scorpina manage to escape. And then after that, Billy manages to use the device that was the timer device for transforming the Norman Pig into the Pudgy Pig monster back to its original state. And then after that, basically what happens is that the Rangers are saying that they should be really happy there. And then basically, after that, Trini basically explains to them about the female pig's owner, the one that the Pudgy Pig who was turned in that form to Norman fell in love with, decided to adopt Norman into the farm. And then after that, basically what happens is, after a little bit of a comedic thing with Mr. Kaplan, after he I can't remember. But anyway, that's actually gonna be where this episode stops. So if you guys like this video when I post it, I am gonna post it today. I'm probably not gonna post it right. I might post it now because it's the afternoon. So until next time, guys, just please give this video the really best you guys can, and I will see you guys probably tomorrow for the next video. So until then, guys, like I always tell you with this series, may the power protect you always.